We'll see. There we go. All right. So you're now being recorded. Letting Adam in real fast. Adam, just for the heads up, this is being recorded. Just want to let you know. All right. So to get started, if I can get I see three panel members right now. That's going to be Lynn, Carly, and Christy. Since it's a little harder for everyone to take visual cues on here, I will just go ahead and start with Lynn. If you can introduce yourself about 2 to 5 minutes, name, your title, where you work, and what industry you work in.
My name is Dr. Lynn Cross. I've been a chiropractor here now in the Chattanooga area since about 1994. I live in Hickson. I graduated from Life College, and we work at Cross Chiropractic Center. My husband and I are both chiropractors, and we treat families and anyone in Chattanooga or this Chattanooga area, actually all over the country, because we do a technique that a lot of people don't do. So we have people drive like 2 and 3 hours to see us, but that's basically what I do.
Very cool. Next, Carly.
Hey, I am Carly. I am the recruitment manager for Chanelica Logistics. We're a 3PL contractor in the Volkswagen plant. Basically, we stage Volkswagen's production line for them, and we warehouse any additional car parts for them. I'm actually not from Chattanooga. I've only been living here since March. I moved here from our Alabama location where we have a contract with Mercedes. I'm originally from Pennsylvania, graduated from Shippensburg University. It's a small state school in Pennsylvania in 2019 with a degree in human resources.
I know where that is. I went to Lock Haven. I'm from New Jersey.
Oh my gosh.
And my
Okay.
husband's from Titusville, Pennsylvania, first
Okay.
place of oil well. So a small world.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right, Christy, how about you? Christy, you're muted.
Okay, I think I muted it.
There you
Can
are.
you hear me?
We can
Okay, good.
definitely hear you.
Okay, I'm Christy. I'm an occupational therapist. I work for a home health agency here in Chattanooga. I've been a therapist since 1999 and originally from Mississippi, but moved here probably about 20 years ago and have called this home ever since.
Very nice. Very cool. All right. So my next question, and we'll start back over. We'll just keep doing the same loop. I'll start back over with Lynn. What if someone was looking to enter your field? What are some questions or additional information you would like to tell them up front? Like, what's the 2-minute spiel you'd give to someone that ran up to you and said, I want to be you?
Okay, so you'd probably want to do well in science classes, and you would like to work with the human body, because one of the things I was toying with before I wound up in chiropractic was athletic training, physical therapy. So anything along those lines is kind of what'll be interesting if you wanted to be a chiropractor. We work with people that are healthy. We work with people that are injured. We basically get the body working back at 100%, sprained ankles, anything that's out of alignment is something that most chiropractors can fix. Whether it's a foot, a knee, an ankle, a shoulder, or anything like that, we can put it back in alignment as long as it's not fractured. And you normally need to go to 4 years of college and then a chiropractic college for another, either 3 years full term on the quarter system or 4 years of chiropractic college. And then you have to pass your state boards and your national boards and different things like that. But yeah, if you have an interest in helping people and you want to see them get better without drugs or surgeries, it's really an awesome field.
Very cool. Very cool. Thank you very much, Lynn. So, Carly, I think you're almost twofold. You're HR and recruiting, right?
Yes, yep. I guess if you were interested in going into the HR field, I still would recommend getting a degree in either business management or a concentration in HR management, just because having people skills is only half of the job. The cool thing about being in HR and recruitment is that you're a crucial step into developing a company's culture. Um, and while having people skills and knowing how to talk to all different kinds of people is important, you also need to know the labor laws. You need to know your benefits packages, your health insurance, things like that, which is what I learned in you doing my degree in college. Payroll, things like that, just the fundamentals of HR that go beyond being able to talk to people and being a people person. Now, I recruit a lot for warehouse positions, so forklift operators, material handlers. Our company promotes from within. So we have stories of people who were material handlers maybe like 20, 30 years ago, and now they're directors of the business unit. So although I am a advocate for 4-year degrees and 4-year universities, I do want to say that you have other options. You can go into trade school, learn a skill after high school. Doesn't necessarily have to be going to get your bachelor's. As long as you put in hard work and you want to always educate yourself past graduating high school, you'll succeed in whatever you want to do.
I think it's kind of interesting too, that you mentioned starting out with like at least let's say an associate's degree in business. So I have my master's degree in operations management, but 3 of my classes were in basically labor law, human resource management, and likewise. And then when I was working for Amazon, more and more human or HR is getting out into the floor and really being part of the workforce and making sure people are doing the right jobs and equipped in the right way. So definitely the business side and the HR side are starting to blend a little more where we need to know each other's jobs.
Yes, it's great because HR isn't trying to be against any other department. They're trying to protect them and show them the right and legal way to do things. So I'm glad that things are working hand in hand. So
All right, Christy, occupational therapist, which tell what someone coming up to you said they want to be you, but also I think I know what occupational therapy is because of my daughter, but I think a lot of people have a misconception of what the difference is between physical therapy and occupational therapy.
Yeah, it's a very common question, obviously. So occupational therapy originated pretty much with mental health, with doing more like activity-based music therapy type stuff. And then it kind of progressed to more physical rehabilitation. So we do try to like work on like function-based activities and kind of more modern settings, like working back to becoming more independent with activities of daily living. So we kind of complement physical therapy. It kind of goes along with it, but we can work independently as well. Like some occupational therapists, we're kind of fortunate because it can range from pediatrics to geriatrics, and you can work with just hands if you wanted to, or do like industrial rehab. So you can work more independently as well. And for occupational therapy, back when I graduated, it was a bachelor's degree, and now it's a master's or doctorate degree. So you would need to have an undergraduate.
Yes. Very cool. So at this point, real fast, I want to ask the panel, do any of you have any questions for the 3 panel members? I'll give everyone like another 20 seconds to throw something out there, and you can type it too. If you don't want to come on and let us hear your voice, any questions you want, you can also type in the sidebar. And while I'm waiting for anyone to chime up or type a question, I said something for Carly and Christy, but I'll just say something about you too, Lynn, or as a chiropractor. So when I was 17 years old, me and some friends were joking around on some jet skis, and my jet ski stalled out and I got hit right under the armpit by another jet ski doing about 45 miles per hour and about ripped me in half. Broke 3 ribs, but moreover, my sternum completely ripped in half. And it was never treated right when I was a kid, and I didn't think nothing of it. So after I joined the military, I did 24 years in the military, but I had to frequently go to a chiropractor to realign me. And there's nothing weirder than feeling your sternum when you've slept funny that has popped out, having a chiropractor twist you and your sternum snap back into place.
Yeah, that sounds like a horrific injury.
It
Thankfully,
was
you're
not
okay.
pleasant.
Thank you for your service too, Jamie.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand. So under your skin and your bones all come together and they all join together. Every single bone in your body has a joint, and that's all the muscles, ligaments, and tendons are attached to those bones, and they go through little grooves. So all it takes is just, you had a horrific, obviously huge injury where it was obviously separated, but a lot of people don't realize it can only misalign this much. And if it's your shoulder, all of a sudden now you can't really raise your arm up like you need to, and now you're recruiting other muscles, ligaments, and tendons to do the job that the shoulder needs to do, and it's like a wear and tear. All of a sudden you get that shoulder super inflamed, and then it keeps getting irritated and aggravated. And whereas pain pills and muscle relaxers are going to help with the pain and anti-inflammatories, nothing's going to put it back in the right place to make it function properly, if that makes sense. So like in your case, you lived a long time before you saw that chiropractor, it sounds like, and probably were in a lot of pain until you saw the chiropractor, and he kind of got everything lined back up, because your ribs come around and connect into your sternum in the front, and in the back they connect into your spine. So I can't imagine, I would imagine that any twisting or breathing even sometimes heavily would aggravate that whole thing too. So
I don't want to take too much time, but yeah, I have one. Basically, you follow the ribs around to the back, the same vertebrae in the back that matches the split in the sternum, both get out of whack at the same time. So it's
Yeah.
literally like the whole top part of my body
yeah,
gets twisted 1 degree off.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
pleasant.
yeah, no. Now,
Anyway.
sure, you feel a lot
Oh.
better now?
I do. I have some stretches and routines that I can actually reset myself. So if I wake up and I'm jacked up, I have some good stretches that I can do to help pull everything at least back together somewhat.
I'll tell you, it's really fun. We have patients that are like, the birth process is pretty forceful. So we have patients that are like newborns all the way up to our oldest patient just turned 100 in May. So anywhere in between too. But if you like puzzles and you like to touch things and do stuff like that, it's a great field to go into. If you have an interest in any kind of science or how the human body works, chiropractic is such a great field. The reward to helping people get better that have had injuries or problems for so many years, watching them get off pain medications. And I'm sure, Jamie, you understand what I'm talking about. It's really fun. And if any of you guys want to go, there's many chiropractors would love, even if you wanted to come by and see what a chiropractor did, any chiropractor in the area would be more than happy for you guys to pop in and say, hey, I met a chiropractor and I'd like to see what you do on a day-to-day basis. Can I come into your office and watch what you do? They're going to love that. And that's one way to see if it's something that you guys might be interested in, pursuing in the future.
Yeah.
It's a really cool field.
Absolutely. Let's see here. We got a couple of questions down here now. So first question, I'm going to shoot this over to Christy. We're going to switch it around. Christy, how has it been so far in your career? How did you overcome some challenges that arise?
I'd probably say the most current challenge that we face these days is insurance companies. So sometimes the insurance company wants to dictate how much therapy a patient can get. So we do try to educate our patients to be their own advocate, because they can oftentimes call the insurance company as well and try to explain why they're needing additional visits. So that's probably our most current challenge going on right now. And a lot of it also is just education. Like sometimes the doctors don't really know what we do either. So fortunately, the other staff members can kind of help bring in occupational therapy when needed as well. So there's just a lot of education for patients, families, other practitioners and doctors, and of course, insurance companies as well. So patients and education.
Yes. How about you, Carly? And the question again was, how has it been so far in your career? How did you overcome some challenges that arise?
In this position, I would say our biggest challenge as far as recruiting in the logistics / manufacturing environment would just be overall turnover. And it's just the nature of the industry. Unfortunately, we do experience a lot of turnover. And some of that is just, well, there's a lot of different factors, but some people, I guess, pay might be a factor, or they just envision the environment differently and they decide that working in a warehouse or a factory just isn't for them. So it almost seems like a constant revolving door, which does keep me with a job, fortunately, but it always seems endless.
All right, Lynn, how about you?
I'm gonna agree with Christy on the insurance part. There's a lot of people that are able to get the care they want because their insurance companies, dictate their care. So I'm gonna say the whole insurance thing. And also one of the things nowadays is people are so stuck forward because everybody's looking down on tablets and computers, laptops. And so that's creating a lot of problems for a lot of people in general. So I think that's a big thing.
Absolutely. All right. Next question. I'll throw this back over to Christy. I got two people to admit. All right. Now, how early did y'all start? Like, what age did you actually start your career?
I will tell you that in high school, I had absolutely zero clue what I wanted to do. I had no direction. So I just went ahead and went to we called it community college back then. And just started taking classes. I was fortunate that one of my friends knew that she wanted to be a therapist, and we did observation hours, which you need to do anyway to be accepted into a program. So by doing the observation hours in different clinical settings, I was able to get some exposure and kind of knew right away that's what I wanted to do. So I was able to graduate back then when I was about 22. So I've been doing this since, like I said, I was about 22 or so.
Very nice. All right, Carly, how about you? How early did you start, and like what age did you start your career?
Well, I knew I wanted to be in human resources since I was a junior in high school. And I know that's pretty rare. It's totally okay to even start university undeclared and not know what you want to do. But I started looking for schools that had an HR management concentration when I was a junior in high school. That's what I went to university for. I actually didn't start off my post-grad life in human resources. I was in property management for 4 years before that in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I guess I started that when I was 22 years old. I ran a student apartment complex, and some of the functions were human resource related because I oversaw a staff and their payroll and benefits. But it was mostly project management on a very, very big scale and sales. So let's see. I started with this company when I was 24, I think. 24, 25. My 2-year anniversary is coming up in November. So yeah.
Very cool. All right. How about you, Lynn?
I think I was 26 when I graduated chiropractic college. So I'm trying to figure it out. It's been a minute. So I think I was 26 and when I originally went to college, I didn't know what I wanted to do exactly. I knew I wanted to do something. I was an athlete, so I always wanted to do something sports related or something athletic. So I originally was thinking athletic training, then I was thinking physical therapy, and then actually I was working in a corporation as part of my internship in the fitness center, and it was a huge corporation, and they had a medical doctor that worked in the corporation, and he told me to look into chiropractic, and then I decided to work for a chiropractor first to see if I would like it, and then I loved it, and then I went to chiropractic college, and that's how I wound up being a chiropractor.
Very awesome. All right. So this next question I like. I can't wait to hear y'all's views on it and definitely expound as much as you'd like on this. So the question is, life after college, I've heard it's always challenging and seems like a new phase. How did you gain balance and attain success without getting distracted? Christy?
Always still kind of a challenge, even though I've been doing this for a while, because there's kids or job changes or moving to different states. I guess the best suggestion I have is just don't put too much pressure on yourself and know you're going to make mistakes, and try to surround yourself with good people that can help and mentor as much as you can, and try to find something, after work to decompress. 'Cause like I said, the challenges are always going to be there. They just kind of manifest in different ways as you go along. But it is good to find that healthy work life balance for sure.
Very nice. All right, Carly, you're 2 years out of it. Are you balanced yet?
I graduated in 2019, so I'm a little bit removed from my college days, thankfully. Yes, life after college it's a different set of challenges. I think it's a little bit more structured than when I was in university. But I do agree with what Christy said. Having a work-life balance is very, very important. Try not to take your work home with you after you leave 4 or 5 at the end of the day. Just don't bring it back, because if you come home, you're just going to be thinking about work the entire time, and you're not going to be refreshed at all, and you'll start becoming miserable with your position and not excited to go or learn or progress at the job that you're currently in. So leave it all at your desk. Get a hobby, hang out with friends, whatever you need to do to create that divide.
That's great advice. Thank you. Lynn?
Yeah, I agree with Carly. And another thing is to be prepared and organized, because if you can be more prepared on a daily basis, then that's less chaos and confusion. And try not to procrastinate and just get things done when you can get them done. I think the balancing thing is constantly ever changing. There's never going to be a balance per se. So I think you just have to come up with a good routine. And then when things are thrown your way that's out of the ordinary, you're able to handle it better because, you have your ducks in a row and kind of can do it all at that point. But yeah, separating work and home is a huge thing, especially the different fields you work in. Some of them you're more apt to want to take home with you, but I love that. So yeah.
I'm going to add a few points here too, and Sandy may fuss at me later since I'm facilitating this, but considering we're like down 3 panel members, I'm okay with it. Definitely for everyone on here, even if you're planning on going to college, you're in college, I would still spend a little time asking your parents, asking someone you trust, how do I balance a checkbook, or how do I balance my financial accounts? How do I do a budget? How do I search for insurance on the marketplace? My own daughter lives by herself down in Florida. She's an adult. She fell off my insurance, and it was a struggle for me to help her because since I retired from the military, I've always just had military insurance and have continued that. So it was shocking even for me to help my daughter get set up on her own insurance, and it's complex. So definitely those are questions now. If you want to make your life easier as you're leaving college, start asking some of those questions now. And then two, as far as, let's see, what was that question again? Let's see here. Seeming like a new phase, I will tell you, and I think some of the panel members can tell you too, that's not just the only phase you're going to face. You're not going to graduate high school and then go to college and then you face to adulthood and that's it. There's going to be so many more phases. There's going to be, if you have children, the parent phase, and then now with me, the empty nest phase as your kid goes off to another state. And even your career, you may change careers entirely. I was in the military for 24 years as an aircraft electrician, and now I work for a software development company as a program manager. They could not be further apart. And I love both of it. In fact, it's nice. I kind of was getting burnt out being an electrician. And now this is totally new. I'm learning new stuff every day. So, you're going to have more than just after college as an adult being the last phase of your life. Let's see here. Next question. Can you describe a key decision or turning point in your career and how it influenced your professional decision? Christy?
Well, the best thing I can think of is I feel like I was kind of on a management track and kind of felt like that's where I was being called to and the path that I was on. And because of factors outside of my control, that did not happen. So I then had to switch gears and see where my next passion would be. And it led me to home health. And that's actually been the setting I've stayed in the longest. I've been doing home health now for 14 years since I graduated. And it's definitely, for me, it's the setting that I prefer and feel my passion. So even though I was kind of devastated and, like I said, I had no control over what all happened and thought, well, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. It changed my gears, but once I started doing it, I felt that it was meant to be. So sometimes you just gotta kind of roll with the punches as they come at you.
Thank you. Carly, how about you? Did you have a key decision or turning point in your career, and how did that influence your professional decision?
Yeah. Things started getting real when I moved from Pennsylvania to Alabama for that property management position. That was the first time that I had ever held a management position. That was my first job out of college. And although I had these degrees in management, I quickly learned what it meant to be a project manager, what it meant to have a team of people who are following your directive. And being a manager is not just about being in charge. And I think that's what people don't get whenever they're so eager to climb the ladder to get up. It's making the hard decisions. It's being accountable when those decisions go wrong or if mistakes happen. It's putting in the sweat and tears to get your projects finished. It's so much more than just being the one in charge and being the one to make the good decisions and getting the pay raise and getting, you know, all the perks that it comes with being the boss. And I learned a lot from that position, and I've carried that like experience over into my role as a recruitment manager, where I'm managing a project on a very, very smaller scale. The team is about the same, but it's made me a better manager knowing that it's not just about being in charge anymore.
Great, thank you. All right, Lynn, how about you? Was there a turning point or key decision that helped influence your professional decision?
Yeah, I think when I had that conversation with the medical doctor at the internship that I was doing, and because I was looking at that point into going to physical therapy, and he kind of nudged me toward the chiropractic profession, and I'm really glad that's where I wound up. Looking back, and if I had to do things differently, and what I tell my kids is not to put all your eggs in one basket, and to always have other things that you have interests in, get, you know, certifications and your degrees, and always further your career, because you never know, as you grow, your interests might change. So what you think you are going to be doing for the rest of your life, you may not want to be doing. And to add to that, I wish, and I tell my kids this now too, I wish I had been better prepared to run a business as a business owner. Like, we learned all the doctoring part of it, and we didn't learn exactly how to be the best business people. So, you know, I wish I would have, you know, learned all that in school better. And so, and also I tell them to learn all the financial investing things and save your money early, and don't take out a huge amount of debt for student loans for college. Like, if you can avoid that, you know, try to maximize where you go to school, because it really doesn't matter where you go to undergraduate in most degrees. Really, it doesn't. If you could come out with less debt, that's the way to go. I think that will guide you through a healthy, an easier life, if you don't have to worry about paying back big student loans. You know, it's worth it, but it's just makes it more difficult. And there's ways to get through college without taking out huge student loans. So that would be my little piece.
Nice, thank you. All right, so it is 19:30. I have one more question to ask, but beforehand, we're going to take a quick brain break. I know my teachers used to make me stand up, or all the class stand up and like do a couple of jumping jacks and sit down. We're going to do a brain break. I want to see everyone click the react button at the bottom of your Zoom meeting and pick your favorite emoji reaction and post it on there real fast. All right. Cool. So anyway, the next question, what if you are an introvert type and don't have a lot of friends? How about you, Christy? You got any advice for someone that maybe is more introverted and doesn't have a huge friend structure?
So with our job, I mean, I would consider myself honestly an introvert, especially as I've gotten older. I'm really okay with, or I have found myself being more introverted. A lot of it just comes with practice, and you know, I would definitely encourage anybody that's starting out in their career for occupational therapy. You can learn from others too, like going somewhere like Siskin or Encompass, like we're around a whole bunch of therapists. Kind of see how they're interacting with their patients, and you'll have clinical field works, and you'll have time for one-on-one, you know, practice with learning how to sit down with the patient, because you do have to do some probing. You have to I have to get outside of my comfort zone even still now and ask questions that, you know, can be uncomfortable for me, like as a normal like person, not as a practitioner. So it really just kind of comes with some practice and probably fumbling through, you know, your first couple and giving yourself some grace. But it just, like I said, it just takes some practice and learning to get through that. And kind of think what Lisa was saying too, just preparing as well. So kind of like knowing and kind of having a game plan when you come in to work with a patient and kind of instead of kind of flying by the seat of your pants. So I think that is helpful as well.
Thank you. All right, Carly, HR, you got any advice for someone that might be introverted?
Yeah, I used to be an introvert too, and you're gonna hate to hear it, but you just have to, I called it exposure therapy, and you just have to jump in there because it is a life skill to know how to comfortably relay your message to people. And the way that I did that was one semester in university, I signed up to be one of those telemarketers, and it was asking the alumni for donations. So you can imagine how many angry people I got on the phone rather than people who were willing to just say, hey, here's my credit card. So that really helped me, get out of my shell. But in my current position, I've had to have really uncomfortable conversations while either ending someone's assignment or, sometimes I've had to write some team members up. And what helps me is writing out what I want to say and then practicing it a few times before heading out into that conversation. You don't need to have like the most suave way of talking, but in HR, you definitely want to relay your information tactfully. So.
Thank you. All right, Lynn, how about you?
Well, I feel like high school's brutal these days, and I feel like everybody makes it feel like everybody has to be outgoing and social and all the things, but there's so much past high school. High school is just so early on, and you have a whole life ahead of you to do the things. So one of the things that got me out of staying home or whatever, as I like sports, so I gravitated to other people that like sports. But really, if you can just find an interest, it doesn't matter what it is. It really doesn't matter. It's something that you have a passion for and that you're interested in, and then find other people that have the same interests. Then you're going to naturally just start talking to them about those things, and it's going to bring you out of your shell, and you're going to make fast friends. And that's what, if you go to college, that's one of the beauty things about that is there's so many vast groups to join or become a part of, activities. It doesn't matter. They have gaming, they have everything that you can imagine. There's majors in game design, there's majors in video gaming. I mean, there's college esports teams now. So you can get a scholarship for doing esports in college, electric sports, sitting and playing sports on the video. So I feel like just because you may feel like quiet now and introverted, I feel like there's so many options for you to just find your people, and everybody will find their people. You just have to be willing and want to find your people. And this world is huge. Like, I mean, like there's so many places to go, there's so many people to meet. So just find your passions, figure out what you like to do, and then figure out a way to do them. One of the things I did that I hated, and I still can remember, I took this public speaking class in college. I hated every minute of it. I just hate it. I still hate public speaking, but it made me have to public speak. And I don't think anybody truly loves going into a room of people they don't know and talking to them. So it, like you guys, Carly and Christy both said, it definitely, you have to get out of your comfort zone sometimes, but the reward is so great once you do. I think you really will find your people. So I think that's it.
And I am by no means an expert on this, but I also feel that introvert and extrovert have been thrown around a little bit. And a lot of people feel like it's you're either one or the other, but I really do feel there's kind of a spectrum there. I have never been very introverted. I've always been able to talk, but I also don't do well in groups much larger than 3. Like I am totally fine hanging out with 2 or 3 of my best friends, but I get into a group larger than that, and my energy level just starts winding down. Like if I have to go to a large evening event and there's tons of people talking and noise, some people love that and just feed off that energy. By the end of the night, I'm exhausted. I want to come back to the house, put a movie on, and just no one speak to me for like another 10 hours. And I've been told that's very much an introverted trait, but on the flip side, I have no problem speaking to people. So like I said, I don't necessarily think it's as easy as just saying I'm one or the other. All right, let's see here. Next question. I'm going to, let's see here. All right, for the panel, you finished school, maybe you've got a few certifications. What kind of challenges did you have landing your first job, and how did you go about overcoming any obstacles you faced? Christy.
Well, when I graduated, there had been a huge healthcare change. So the promise of graduating college and going out and getting a first job with a fair amount of ease was completely gone. I went to go work in a little deli after I graduated. So I had to be willing to be flexible and leave the town I grew up in to go find a job or go to a job to go ahead and get my feet wet and start working. So in my situation, my first job was being very open-minded and doing something I hadn't planned on doing, and willing. Of course, at the time I was, I did have the flexibility and the ability to move. I know that's not for everybody's situation, but it really was just being flexible and being open-minded to the opportunities that were not where I thought they were going to be. So that was my particular situation.
Thank you. All right, Carly.
Yeah, I would have to say my situation was similar. Before I had received that property management position, I had gotten a couple like entry-level HR offers, like HR assistant. I would just say to be aware that you're starting off at an entry-level position and that the pay may not be where you would want it to be, but sometimes the pay isn't everything. Maybe the pay is lower, but you get to gain the experience and you're working for a company that wants to develop your career. The pay, you sacrifice the pay to get a better opportunity.
I'm going to chime in on that just a little bit because, especially with you working for VW, and I was an operations manager just across the street for a few years with Amazon. At Amazon during peak and prime seasons, all of our employees were offered overtime, and they would get double time and sometimes triple time, depending on the time of year and how many hours they were working. As an L7, my process assistant was working crazy extra overtime because she was wanting to generate a whole bunch of money for a vacation. And she was approaching a position where and this is someone that just had a high school degree and had worked her way up inside Amazon to my process assistant. And because of all the overtime she was making, she was actually making just slightly more than me, even as an L7 manager. But I mean, she was also busting her butt. I think she was only like one day a week she wasn't working, and she was working extra shifts and everything. So, but that was the max. I mean, she really didn't have any more room to grow. If she wanted to make more money, she was going to have to work more hours. So that's kind of the trade-off sometimes with working more unskilled labor just out of high school is you can get that overtime, but even with an overtime boost, there's a max threshold of pay that you're ever going to get. Whereas just like Carly said, sometimes, especially with management positions, you might be hired at like a L4, L5 level, and you may not think that what you're making is worth all the school you went to, but you also have to think about the trajectory. So if you stick the course for like 4 years as a manager, yes, you started out way here, but even just working the same hours, not having to work crazy overtime or everything, within just a few years, you will accelerate pretty fast into a higher position where you're making substantially more money. So you got to make sure you're always keeping track of that 1, 5, 10-year goal and where you want to be.
Yeah. For me, it didn't help that through all 4 years of university, like in my HR classes, they would show me the average of what a HR professional makes. And I think that number was around like maybe 50 to 75. But I mean, there are a ton of HR directors who are making a lot. Like I'm just wondering how they came up with that number. And like it had to be like really high up HR executives plus anyone entry level making up that average. So graduating and then looking for entry level HR position, that was kind of a shock, to be completely transparent. But if I had picked the entry level HR position over that property management position, I feel like even though at that time I was getting paid less than what I had anticipated, today I may have been higher up with that organization and making or exceeding my expectations to where I thought I would have been stuck at, I guess.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, Lynn, how about you? Do you got it? Or do you want me to read the question again?
Oh, I think something about what jobs did I take when I first got out?
Yeah, what challenges did you face in your first trying to land your first job?
So I wound up working for a chiropractor here that I knew I didn't want to work for, but he wooed me in with a decent pay, and it wound up being just 6 months of so I think if you know you don't want to work somewhere, that you just need to figure out, like, can I just do this for a short time and save the money and then have an exit strategy and move forward into a different plan? The whole time you just kind of have to be flexible. So then I worked there for 6 months, and then I wound up going in, splitting an office with another chiropractor. And then we wound up just going in and opening up our own, more or less. And so that's kind of the route we took. But I think the best advice is to just be flexible and know what you may want to do. Or if you wind up somewhere, think about what you like to do in that job and what you don't like to do, and then keep narrowing it down. And always whatever job you do it to the best of your ability. So it doesn't matter what you do, but be the best at it that you can be. Give 100%, and people are going to notice that, and you will move up in the ranks. Am I right, Carly? People will see that you're determined, you're a hard worker, you don't go late, you show up on time, you do above and beyond what's asked from you, and you will be rewarded if you can just stay the course. But like I said earlier, just kind of figure out what you like to do, and then and pursue it, and that way, and you can pursue more than one thing at a time. You don't have to just be boxed into one thing. So really, you have your whole lives ahead of you, and there's no right or wrong answer. Like just find your passion, and then work doesn't seem like work if you enjoy going there every day, if it's something you really like to do. So.
All right, and then I'm going to answer this question too, because the original question was actually directed towards me. So when I first left the military, I didn't know what to expect. The military basically promotes you and moves you around, and you don't have much of a say. So I leave the military, and I will say probably the best advice I got is hustle and don't get offended. Especially if you're in, for me, like operations management, project management was my master's degree. There's a lot of them. And there's a lot of people at a lot of different levels. So you have to try to figure out how to differentiate yourself. I went and actually had someone help me with my resume. I sent a ton of resumes out to different companies. And I got a bunch of, hey, you're not quite the right fit. We're looking for this, we're looking for that. But so you have to have somewhat of a thick skin. And you need to do all the things too. You need to make sure you're following up on interviews and just keeping track and hustling to try to get those jobs. And don't keep a thick skin and don't get your feelings hurt when you keep getting told no. It will happen. But on the same note, if you just keep getting turned no, you might want to go talk to someone that can help you with your resume and get something done. Now, the second part of that is I knew that I had been working in the military and leading people for a long time. And I went to Amazon and I thought it was the right fit. And then I realized right away that I was kind of burnt out from the military and it wasn't necessarily the right fit. No shame or against Amazon. Great job. I was internally burnt out from kind of leading people and constantly doing process improvement and stuff like that. So I left, and there was a company that I had met 5 years earlier when I was in the military that came out to my base and was basically creating some new software for maintenance information systems. And we kind of hit it off. I was actually selected to walk them around the flight line, show them what maintenance looks like in the flight line and how much of a challenge we faced with working on an aircraft and coming like a quarter mile into the hangar to actually input all of our data and how that could be fixed. And they would occasionally ask questions like me and one of the co-owners really hit it off and kind of became friends. And they would occasionally ask me questions. Even after I retired, I did some data analytics work for them as a consultant. Well, when I left Amazon, I was just talking to them one day. I was like, hey, I've left Amazon. I'm looking for work. They're like, we finally got to a point where we could probably hire you. Are you interested? I'm like, sure. So for the first year, I was their subject matter expert on a new project they were putting together for this same maintenance information system. I was doing a lot of data analytics work for them. And I love my job now. I love it. But where I'm going with that is networking. Don't burn bridges, put yourself out there, talk to people, make connections. If you think you want to you hear this, you've already heard Lynn talk about it with chiropractors. If you think you might want to do something, don't just wish about it. Go find someone in the field and go ask them if you can sit behind them for a little while. And you may make an impact on them to the point that you think that you want to do it. Cool. You go to school and then you get out of school and now you have a network in that career that could either maybe hire you or at least point you in the right direction for a job. So network. And a lot of times it's just being friendly with people. All right. I do not have any more questions. We have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone have any other questions real fast you'd like to throw out to the panel? Let's see here. You can either raise your hand and ask it directly or type it real fast in the side. All right, Lynn, Carly, or Christy, are there any closing remarks you'd like to make?
I'll just say, you guys have your whole lives ahead of you. I said it before. There is no right or wrong decision. It's just finding your path and enjoying your life and finding people that want to go along the ride with you. And just because one thing doesn't work out doesn't mean the next thing's not going to work out. It just means that there's a better option for you coming along the path. So just like I said, ask people for help. People are just so willing to help. Like, especially if you have an interest in something that they're doing and you have questions, they're going to be more than happy to help you in any way, shape, or form that they can, and they will help guide you in the right direction. So just find what you like to do and find people that you like to do it with and follow your dreams. Really, that's what it's about. Figure out what your dreams are, follow your dreams, and do what you need to do to make them come true. I mean, there's so many stories of people who didn't know what they wanted to do. They found something and then they just kept pursuing it. And now, you know, now they're hugely successful people. So I think, you know, always have a positive, you can always look at life. And I know everybody says this, I know it's so cliche. The glass is half full or the glass is half empty. Everybody can turn a positive into a negative into a positive if you want to see the positive about it. So try and always, you know, look for the best and do your best and really let other people help you and ask other people for help, because people are going to want to help you through your life. And that's really my advice.
Very cool.
And I think I'm kind of going through this with my own children. I've got an 18 and 19-year-old, and one knows exactly what she wants to do. And then my son's not 100% sure what he wants to do. But a lot of it for me is, and I'm not from Tennessee, but there's a lot of opportunity that I'm finding as I'm kind of researching and looking for other opportunities that may not even be college based, that could be more trade based and anything like that, or just, you know, even getting on with like the volunteer fire department or anything that could kind of lead to something else that may not be per se like a traditional way to go. So I think just being open-minded to different career paths and going about it different ways than just the tried and true, you know, college, get a job, blah, blah, blah.
Cool. Carly, do you have anything to add?
So my little catchphrase at work that everyone makes fun of me for is, it'll be fine, like everything will be fine. And it will be. If something doesn't go your way, it wasn't meant for you, and that's okay. Everything will work out. It'll be fine at the end of the day. All you need to do is just get through it one day at a time, because what other choice do you have, you know?
All right. Now I'm going to ask a couple of fun questions towards the end here. So, Lynn, what does an occupational therapist do for a hobby?
I'm gonna guess she probably gardens. She may like to craft, maybe craft, garden. She probably likes to walk and help people,
Thank you.
watch movies.
Carly, what does the HR representative do for a hobby?
I like to go out with my friends. I like to travel. I like to hang out with my dog, and he's chewing his bone in the background, so I'm so sorry for that awful grinding noise. But yeah.
All right, Christy, what does an occupational therapist do?
Currently I'm doing volunteer work, enjoying doing some of that. I've been doing some networking and getting out kind of out of my comfort zone that I've kind of gotten accustomed to. So that's been my latest hobby.
Very cool. Lynn, did I ask you what a occupational therapist or a chiropractor?
Yeah, that was fine. It's okay.
I'm sorry. What does a chiropractor do for a hobby?
Same
thing?
stuff. Same stuff.
Okay.
You know, I like to get outdoors, out in nature, spend time with my kids, my husband. So yeah, same, watch movies, you know, garden.
I'm a huge movie buff myself. All right. Well, it is 7:59. So this is the end. I'd like to thank Lynn, Christy, and Carly for being on the panel. I also want to let everyone here know, if you have questions that you didn't feel comfortable asking here, or if you have any specific questions for the three panel members or myself, email Sandy at Rise Up, or any of the emails with Rise Up, and we can get those emails routed to the appropriate people to get you answers. I don't want you to think just because this meeting is ended that you lost your chance. By all means, if you have any questions, please send them out to Rise Up, and we will get them spread out to the appropriate person. Thank you everyone for being here, and have a great night.
Thanks, you guys too. Bye,
Yeah.
guys.
Guys.